We have a Boy Scout here today, or a Scout. Caden Rodriguez is from First Christian Church. He's from Troop 507. If you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Rose.
Here.
Shields. Here. Simpson.
Here.
Coin.
Here.
Hazelton.
Present.
Heffinger.
Here.
Lamb.
Here.
Reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
I move that the minutes of the regular meeting of January 27, 2020, is prepared and submitted by the clerk, be approved.
Second.
Discussion on the minutes. Will the clerk please call the roll on the approval of the minutes?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Reports of standing committees. The Finance Committee met prior to the council meeting this evening and will again meet in 2 weeks, and several items are on the agenda. Health, Safety, and Sanitation, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, nothing to report.
Thank you. Public Properties, Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, no report this evening.
Special Legislation, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report, and no meeting scheduled yet, but I'm working on it.
Oh, thank you. Streets and Sidewalks, Mr. Heffinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report, but I do have a meeting scheduled for February 24th. It'll be prior to the finance meeting. We're going to discuss possibly installing the lights on Reagan Parkway, and we're going to get an update on street projects for the year 2020.
Water and Utilities, Mrs. Hazeltine.
It's okay, you got it. I have nothing to report, and as far as I know, there's no meeting scheduled, unless they scheduled it without me when I wasn't there.
And welcome back.
Thank you. I do not have the coronavirus
I was just
for
checking.
the last time.
You did go to the Philippines. I was just
I
concerned
did.
a little bit. Emerging Technologies, Mr. Rose.
One thing, it does have a 14-day incubation period. No meeting scheduled and nothing to report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Request for council action. We have several for finance. We have 2027 budget amendment, 2028 then and now for Trident Insurance for the law department, 2029 ratify agreement with Teamsters Local 436, 2030 then and now Nature's Own Source LLC Street Department, 2031 expenditure upgrade for city PCs laptops to Windows 10 MNJ Technologies, 2032 expenditure for software solutions for the finance department, 2033 discussion to establish steering committee for the comprehensive plan update, 2034 bids for job number 1069 2020 pavement marking program, 2035 bids for project number 1063 remark airfield for the airport, 2036 consent legislation with ODOT for bridge replacement State Route 3 project number 1046, 2037 engineering design services West Street Railroad bridge repairs, 2038 City Hall parking deck change order for stormwater detention location, and 2039 cooperative purchase mobile column lifts for the service department. Reports for municipal officers. Mayor Hamill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The parking deck construction has ceased for the winter, has been for the last couple months. For the public needing to access either the downtown or City Hall, there are long-term lots available at Castle Noel, the Feckley lot on the north side of Time 2, the county courthouse parking deck in evenings and weekends, county administration lot extension off of East Liberty Street, same time periods, the parking lot between West Liberty and West Washington Street with the Huntington Bank drive-through. The Muni Court lot is available on weekends and evenings as well. 3-hour lots were established at the open lot areas outside of the construction zone between Sully's and Porter's, as well as the lot at the southeast corner of Elmwood and West Liberty Street. We established a couple parking spaces along West Friendship Street outside of City Hall, adjacent to the Historical Society, and also have 2 handicap spaces outside the northwest doors of City Hall. The utility drop boxes and post office mailbox were moved to the Muni Court and will likely remain there. The mini library was placed at the 3-hour lot at the southeast corner of Elmwood and West Liberty Street. The annual 4 chaplain service was held on Wednesday, February 5th at 7 p.m. at St. Francis Church. I'd like to thank Councilman Paul Rose and Jim Shields, Finance Director Keith Durham, and Medina County Commissioner Bill Hudson for attending with me. And last but not least, the 26th Annual Ice Festival will take place starting this Friday, February 14th, through Monday, the 21st. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Bowers, Finance Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing to report.
Thank you. Mr. Huber, Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Lieutenant Brooke Beckler, Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Mrs. Marshall, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did hold an ESID board meeting, that's Energy Special Improvement District, today, and discussed our 2020 plan to expand the district to Medina Township, Brunswick Hills Township, and Brunswick. So we're moving forward, making progress. And Councilwoman Jess Hazeltine joined us today, and we gave her a crash course in PACE financing and our ESID district. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mendel, Planning Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Thank you. Chief Payne, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, Recreation Center Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one update. Our next Rec Advisory Board meeting is next Thursday, the 20th at 7:30 a.m. at the Rec Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gladys, Building Official.
Thank you, Mr. President. Quick update on building department activities and construction projects. We continue to see increases in the yearly number of construction permits issued by the building department. 1,612 in 2019 compared to 1,565 in 2018. There has been a steady increase year after year for the past 5 years. A quick list of some of the recently opened and soon to open restaurants, pubs, and entertainment facilities. Foundry Social, The Farmer's Table, Keller's Meats and Market, 1904 Brews Coffee Shop, Sweet Mangles Thai Cuisine, Los Canteritos Mexican Grill, Griddle Cafe, Jane's Diner, Medina Brewery, and Mad Brewery. That ends my report.
Thank you. Mr. Patton, City Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did receive bids last week for the South Broadway Street reconstruction. This is the Brick Road. The bids came back very good. This afternoon, the Board of Control awarded it to Fabrizi Construction. Total cost was $1,168,000 and some change. That cost is about 10% below what our project estimate was. I've been asked by a number of people for the cost of the brick. The brick was about $178,000, represents about 15% or so of the total cost of the project. This project is being paid for through partially through a grant, $432,000, and $176,000 from Medina County to pay for the sanitary sewers. So the city's portion of the project is about $560,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Piccoli, Service Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a brief comment. Our service crews are working with the park staff in preparation for the ice festival that the mayor referenced this upcoming weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a confirmation of council appointment. We have one ESID Board, Jessica Hazeltine, a City of Medina representative.
Move to confirm council's appointment.
Second.
Any discussion on the council's appointment? Clerk, please call the roll.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Next, we have a motion to remove inactive pending matter items. There are several for the finance, health, safety, and special legislation. If there's no objection, I'd like to take them all at one time. Hearing none, we have for the Finance Committee, we had 17-175 net profit tax grant incentive for local businesses, 17-177 mandatory retirement age for police and fire chief, 17-205 discussion of Save Historic Tax Credits campaign, 1884 certification of legal level of control for appropriations, 18-200 discussion of potential railroad quiet zones, Health, Safety, and Sanitation Committee, 17-117 curbside recycling program, Special Legislation Committee, we had 16-116 explore expansion of historic district, 17-100 develop plan to clean up blighted area of city code enforcement, and 18-106 City of Medina gender neutrality.
Move to remove inactive pending council matters.
Second.
Discussion? Now this just removes these from the active list. This doesn't mean you can't bring them up again. If these come up again, you just make a new request for council action. We can add them back to the agenda. But since these were so old, we just didn't want to keep them on there. So if there's an incentive to put them back on, anybody's more than welcome to add them back to the agenda. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll on removal of the inactive items.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Unfinished business, we have none. Introduction of visitors. Members of the public will be permitted the opportunity to speak on any issue or concern which pertains to the city during the portion of the council agenda devoted to introduction of visitors. All comments shall be directed to the chair, and a reasonable time limit of approximately 5 minutes will be imposed. If there's a group, please appoint a spokesperson. Speakers should approach the front right microphone and state their name and address so it can be entered into the minutes. Members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to comment on other portions of the meeting as determined by the chair or by a vote of the majority of council members present. Is there anybody that wishes to address council at this time? Eric.
Thank you, Mr. President. Erica Griffin, representing the Auditor's Office. This is that time of year where we have a bunch of deadlines coming due. So I just came to remind you to renew your dog tags by January 31st. CAUV or Woodlands renewals are due by the first Monday in March. I have new values went out for tax year 2019, which is our current tax year. We still have property owners that did not receive those. I didn't get mine. You can get the information from the office. So if you're still looking at your new value, give us a call. Lastly, this is the time of the year to file a complaint against the value of your property if you do not feel your value is correct. And there are several ways to do that. One of the ways is electronically. It can be submitted and your evidence can be scanned and submitted online without coming into the office, no notary required. And then the other way is the application, notary, and submit your evidence. We're starting to hear those now, and we hear them through September. And that's all I have. Thank you.
And the deadline for that is?
March 31st.
Okay.
I'm wrong. Board of Revision?
Yes.
March 31st.
Yes.
I have a lot of dates in my head, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else that wishes to address council at this time? Okay, we have introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. We have ordinance 2720, an ordinance authorizing the payment to Absolute Construction Services for the private home rehabilitation at 533 South Broadway as part of the fiscal year 18 CHIP grant program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
the emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it at this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Discussion on the emergency clause and the ordinance. Mr. Mendel.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for a CHIP project, private home rehabilitation here in the city of Medina. It's just shy of $33,000. We'd like to do a PO request for $33,000 to cover just a little bit of potential unforeseen change orders that sometimes come up. The emergency clause is requested as we like to have the contractors paid as quickly as possible so that they can have the capital to continue bidding on CHIP projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment on the emergency clause and or the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the emergency clause?
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 27-20 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 28-20, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to solicit requests for qualifications, RFQs, requests for proposals, RFPs, for consultant services for the fiscal year 20 City of Medina Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, CHIP, and Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, program applications, including but not limited to the competitive set-aside programs, and award the RFP to the successful bidder.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
the emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Discussion on the emergency clause and the ordinance. Mr. Mendel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is a solicitation process for qualifications and proposals for consultants to assist us with our PY20's application process for state CHIP and other CDBG programs through the state of Ohio. The emergency clause is requested, as there is a specific timeline in public notices and public meetings that we have to go through, and the application is due May 20th, so we need to keep this process moving very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comments on the emergency clause and or the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the emergency clause?
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Ordinance 28-20 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 29-20, ordinance amending ordinance number 19619 passed December 9, 2019, relative to the purchase agreement with the Medina County Park District for the purchase of 3 acres of real property.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
the emergency clause has been requested. I move to add it this time.
My second includes the emergency clause.
Discussion on the emergency clause and the ordinance. Mayor Hamel?
Thank you, Mr. President. So the original ordinance, 19619, we asked for, the cost was $9,000 an acre, so we added $500 to that for the title work, and didn't realize the expense it was going to be for the lot split, because it was all in one lot, so that the parks could have a separate lot and the city have a separate lot. So we need to add this $2,000 just to cover those unexpected fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment on the emergency clause and or the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the emergency clause?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Ordinance 29-20 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 30-20, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of one 2020 Ventrac 4500P compact tractor from Baker Vehicle Systems, Inc. for the Parks Department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Mr. President. This ordinance is to authorize the purchase of one Ventrac 4500P compact tractor for the Parks Department utilizing the Sourcewell contract. This unit will be replacing a 2007 model, which will be applied as a trade along with the 2009 Toro 3280D lawnmower. This purchase was identified in the Parks budget for replacement 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 30-20 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 31-20, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Medina, Kokosing Materials, Inc., Osborne, Medina, and 1000 Lake Holdings, LLC, relative to the maintenance, repair, and operation of the Medina rail line.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 2018, the city and our 3 consortium members passed an MOU, and in that we waived the access fees for all parties for 2018 and 2019. We maintained the per car user fee, but waived the access fees. This MOU is the same, but we are waiving the fees once again for 2020.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comment? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Hazelton.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 31-20 passes 7-0.
And ordinance 32-20, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for competitive bids and to award the contract to the successful bidder for the 2020 concrete street repair program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you. This is our annual program of the miscellaneous street repair at locations all across the city.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
Mr. President.
Mayor Hamel?
I'd like to thank Patrick. We had generally bid these later in the year, which would many times put us in the fall after school was back in session after being off for the summer. So this year we tried to move it up in the year to get it awarded so that we can do our best to try to do at least the ones in the areas of the schools while the school is in the summer break session. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of ordinance?
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazelton.
Yes.
Ordinance 32-20 passes 7-0.
Council comments. Mr. Simpson?
Thank you very much. Just a couple things. First, we're in the second month of the year already, and each one of our department heads sitting here already has a full plate. And to the administration, the mayor's plans, it's going to be another busy year. And I know I can speak for everybody up here to thank you all for what you've done thus far for 2019 and what you're planning on doing for 2020. I know the residents of the city a lot of times don't appreciate, they like to see the end results, but they don't really appreciate all the work and hard work that goes into what you do. Secondly, the last month or so, I'm not a pessimist. I always have seen things, the glass half full. But in the last month or so, I've been disheartened by in the national politics that affects all of us. There's been a lot of negativity, a lot of name calling, finger pointing, and that's politics. I get that. The name calling, being so negative towards one another is unacceptable. And I know it's an election year, and people are heated on both sides of whatever party that you preference. I think it's affecting the way we live our lives. I see that. I see that this week we had gunmen actually go into a police department in the city of New York. We're teaching our kids the wrong message by not standing up and saying what you're saying to this individual or that individual is not acceptable. And I hope as a community we will have it in our hearts to do so. If you see somebody talking negative about someone in your family or someone on your street or someone that works or lives in the city, I hope you stand up and say, that's your opinion. I respect your opinion, but that's unnecessary comments. And I know I've been on a soapbox for as long as I've been here, but it just seems like it's getting to a dangerous point in our country. And I think that we as a community, we're also proud of our community, and the police department does such a phenomenal job against threats to our citizens. But we have to take some responsibility for that. I ask you to write your I'm talking nationally now. I don't see it so much in the state or local, but I do see it nationally, to write your senators, your congressmen, House representatives, and write the president and tell them this is unacceptable. Be kind to one another. With the First Lady, I think it's the Be Best program. Be the best of yourself and just treat each other with respect. Like I said, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but it's so important, and I just think things are getting worse than getting better. And as a country, I think the citizens are the ones. There's so many important things going on, so many issues that affect everybody. But the respect that we have for each other and being kind to one another, it's so important, and I think it'll go a long way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're looking at me, right?
Yeah, Ms. Hazeltine.
First of all, like Denny said, you guys are awesome. I'm awesome. You guys are awesome. Everybody's awesome. So thanks, Denny, for doing that. I am going to do a shameless plug right now, but it's not necessarily for me. But I wanted to let you guys know that not this next meeting, not the meeting after that, but the one after that will be the last time that you see this glorious mane of purple hair. My 4th year shaving my head for St. Baldrick's is coming up. So if you are interested in learning more about that, basically it supports research for childhood cancer. A lot of people don't realize that childhood cancer is very different than adult cancer. It requires a lot of different research. A lot of the larger charitable organizations that do cancer research, a very small portion goes to childhood cancer. I particularly like St. Baldrick's because 73% of the funds raised go directly to research. So if you are interested in supporting that cause, or you just want to contribute to seeing me bald, you can go to stbaldricks.org and you can contribute to that cause. But I'm going to be pushing it every meeting until I'm bald.
Thank you. Anybody else have any council comments? I know that Mr. Lamb does. You have two things. You have to talk about the strategic plan, any update you have on the
Okay.
quality of life goal. Because we wanted to make sure that we keep abreast of the information on the different goals that we have in a strategic plan to keep them top of mind. So if you can give us
What is the other thing?
I don't know, just any update you have about life in general, I guess.
Okay.
Whatever you feel like saying.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Anyway, this is first of all, I'm not sure I want to see you bald. Number one.
Sorry,
but it's a great thing. And Denny, thanks as always. Sure. You know, it's worth showing up just to hear you talk about things that are really important that very few people are talking about. You know, they think them, I think, but like I hate that. You know, I hate that behavior. But who says it? You know, who's saying it? Anyway, thanks for that. I had quality of life for the strategic plan, and I particularly wanted to do quality of life because I guess for two reasons. One is it was open-ended. To me, you can go search out all sorts of different indicators if you want to try to establish what is the quality of life. And secondly, because if you look around town or if you've been here for a while, we have an extraordinary quality of life here, which makes it a really fun thing to look at, but it also makes it interesting to try to find places that I'm always looking for things that are wrong, but it makes it hard to find things sometimes that are wrong, but you can always look for things that are good that we could improve. So if you think about the important indicators, you know, that I generally tried to follow were things like social, leisure time, work, community, family, spirituality, financial, celebration, education, hospitals, and things like that, to try to see where we fall in, you know, where would we rank ourselves, and then where do we, which is good, and where do we maybe fall a little bit short. And one of the most important indicators, I think, and the one that we maybe meet the best, is really that as a member of this community, most people, I think, would say that they have a sense of place. I think that a number of things feed into that, but very few people who I think participate in town at any level feel better about that sense of place than you might someplace else. You know, everything from, you know, the historic downtown, which the historic part's important, but then that maintenance is important. The enormous investment that the city has made in infrastructure, grants that the city has to improve parking, little things that you don't generally think about, but that are worked on here to ensure that your street storm sewers flow. We have more parkland per capita in the city of Medina than any other city in the state. So if you take these things, what be they street maintenance, parkland, and look at them and the level that they are at here, and then look at what are the things that we could improve in any one of those things, or is there something that we're missing? So that's how I've approached it, and it is really pretty interesting, as I said in the beginning. Quality of life is an expansive, open-ended, and we have a very high standard of quality of life, and I think that we meet a lot of the indicators, but it's always good to look at them all and see where we can improve. Good?
That was good.
Thank you.
Anything else to add?
Next time, maybe if I have more than an hour's notice, I'll go into more detail.
Well, you're supposed to be working on this constantly all year long. So
I am working on it.
I knew you had the answers, so.
Thank you.
At the next meeting, we'll have another update from another area of the goals, and it'll be a surprise who's going to speak. But I just want to remind everybody, I know it's never too soon, but April 15th is coming, and that's not only tax day, that's our first budget meeting. So everybody get ready for that day, because it's a double whammy. We have a budget meeting that day, and also your taxes are due. But that's fast approaching because it's already February. So with that said, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.